Hola clase, hoy vamos a concluir capítulo 8 con una visita a las líneas de Nazca en Perú. Se encuentran en el sur de Perú, en el desierto Nazca. Es uno de los desiertos más secos en todo el mundo y hay más de 30 figuras que vamos a ver un video sobre las figuras. Hay que ver para creer. And I've just realized that I probably won't be able to show this because of copyright restrictions. So I'll leave a link and I want you guys to see this. But just to describe this for the benefit of our vision impaired students, these are lines that were dug into the earth perhaps, I don't know, 17, 1800 years ago. And they're huge lines. Some of them are in geometric shapes like rectangles, and they're only about an inch or two into the earth. Some of them are monkeys, there are spirals. They're absolutely incredible. And they're a big tourist draw, and you can only really see them from the air. So there are lots of companies in the area that take people up on flights to appreciate exactly what the lines are. And if you go onto Google Earth, which we're going to do right now, we're going to explore a few of these. So this is what the land looks like, nothing special. It looks like a dry desert landscape. If you've ever taken a drive through Southern California through the desert, it looks pretty much like that, just really rocky. But if we go to the satellite, and of course I can't figure out how to do this right now. There we go. So if we go to the satellite view, that's when you start seeing some weird things, no? You see a lot of geometric shapes, and we're going to go in really close here to the spider. And you can see this. It's in the shape of a spider, and it's probably, 30, 40 feet across, and it's very clearly delineated. We're going to go out a little bit. El cóndor. Look at this, the condor, right? You can super clearly see that in the earth. Sorry, I need that to go away. There we go. The spider, the hands, the tree. The hands, there you go. You see the hands right there. Another, the tree, right? And I think the most impressive one at all, and I'm going to see if I can find the spiral, and this is up near the mountains. And you very clearly see a perfect geometric shape in the form of a spiral. It's incredibly impressive. And most people think they were built with people standing on the mountains because this area is sort of a desert plain and there are mountains all around, and other people directing them on land. But the truth is nobody really knows how they were built or what their purpose was. Pues, y aquí hay unas figuras más. These pictures are a little bit better. And this is a bird, a pájaro. This is the spider, the spiral, the monkey, which you can also see. Y sobre las líneas de Nazca, slide 7. Nadie sabe quién hizo las líneas. Nadie sabe. Nadie. Todos son hechos de pura arena y rocas. Sand and rocks, and that's it. And they've survived, interestingly enough, because it is in a desert. It's one of the driest places in the world. It rains very infrequently, so there isn't a lot of environmental damage to these lines in the form of rain or any of those other meteorological movements. Ninguna es permanente. Hay que cuidarlas. Hay que cuidarlas. Algunos piensan que los extraterrestres hicieron las líneas. Extraterrestres, no? Aliens. Some people think aliens made these. People think aliens made a lot of things. If you look on Netflix, there are a lot of series devoted to all the things that aliens have supposedly created. Ni fueron los extraterrestres ni por accidente. Su función o fue un calendario astrológico o para honrar a los dioses. Pues aquí tenemos palabras nuevas. Tenemos nadie. Nadie sabe quién hizo las líneas. Todas. Todas son hechos de polvo, arena y rocas. Ninguna es permanente, hay que cuidarlas. Algunos piensan que los extraterrestres hicieron las líneas, algunos. Ni fueron los extraterrestres ni por accidente, ni y ni. Su función o fue un calendario o para honrar a los dioses, o y o. ¿Qué significan estas palabras, no? Nadie, nobody. Todas, all or everybody or everything. Ninguna, none. Algunos, some. Ni, neither, nor. O, either, or. Y estos se llaman indefinite words and expressions, que ustedes van a encontrar en la página 246 de su libro, page 246. And I'm always a bit iffy on teaching this because it's one of those things, like with the demonstrative adjectives, right, or pronouns like esta, esas, etc., that is conceptually maybe a little bit hard to wrap your head around, but you sort of learn through picking it up, which is why I don't usually test on indefinite words and phrases, but they are important to know. Bien, están en la página 246. Vamos a hacer unas actividades empezando en 8.24. 8.24. So I'm going to read you a sentence, and you are going to look at the picture where it says plaza, and you're going to tell me, based on numbers 1 through 6, which one is correct. So make sure to pause the video in between after I finish reading. Número 1. ¿Hay alguna librería? ¿Hay alguna librería? No, no hay ninguna. So is there any bookstore? No, there is not, or there is none. So alguna is the opposite of ninguno. So many of these have a partner phrase, right? So alguno, ninguno. Número 2. ¿Hay algún restaurante? ¿Hay algún restaurante? Sí, hay algunos. Sí, hay algunos. Hay algunos restaurantes. So the alguno must match up with whatever comes after it. In this case, we have restaurantes because we have multiple restaurants. We know that's masculine and plural, so it has to be algunos. Número 3. ¿Hay algún gimnasio? ¿Hay algún gimnasio? Answer: no, no hay ninguno. There are none. You may be asking yourself, why is it ninguno and not ninguna? Well, let's look back to gimnasio. It's masculine and it's singular, so it can't be ninguna, it has to be ninguno. Número 4. ¿Hay alguna joyería? ¿Hay alguna joyería? So right in the text it says joyería, so we know that there are some, right? So we're going to answer joyería is feminine, and we know that there are multiple ones, so it's plural, so the answer has to be sí, hay algunas. 5. ¿Cuesta algo el servicio de Wi-Fi? ¿Cuesta algo el servicio de Wi-Fi? Dice internet con Wi-Fi gratuito, free. So our answer will be no, no cuesta nada. Nada, nothing, algo, something. So it's free, it doesn't cost anything. 6. ¿Hay alguien para dar información a los clientes? ¿Hay alguien para dar información a los clientes? It says, otros servicios a su disposición son servicio de información y atención al cliente. So yes, there does exist. Sí hay alguien. Alguien, somebody, nadie, nobody. So opposite words. So I want you to turn the page and go to 825. 825. And this is going to be a little bit more complex. So I want you to pause the video. Look at all of the answers up above and in the box and make your choice based upon what you think is correct. And we'll come back in a second. Bien, so we're back. Perdón, señor, tu amiga. Perdón, señor. What are we going to put here? Is there blank station de metro cercana? Is there any? Any would make sense. So any is algún. We have to ask ourselves, masculine, feminine, singular, or plural? Estación, right? So we know estación is feminine, and we know it's singular, so we're going to put hay alguna. Sorry about my sloppy handwriting once again. ¿Hay alguna estación de metro cercana? Telefonista. Lo siento mucho, señora. No hay. So she's saying there is not. So remember, we said there are opposites. So what's the opposite of alguna? Alguna. The opposite is ninguna. Ninguna, right? Ninguna. Sloppy handwriting. No hay ninguna. So we're still talking about the estación de metro. So we know it's going to be feminine and singular. So no hay ninguna. Pero sí hay. But there are. So what might this be? So we have autobuses. Let's start with autobuses first. We know this is masculine and this is plural, so it's got to be that. But she's saying, yes, there are some autobuses que vienen desde el centro de la ciudad. So here we're going to have algunos autobuses que vienen desde el centro de la ciudad. There are some autobuses, buses that come from the center of the city. Tu amiga. Bueno, y tienen blank restaurante de comida tradicional peruana? Is there blank restaurant, traditional Peruvian food restaurant? Are there any? So we're going to look at restaurante. We know restaurante is masculino and it's singular. So we're going to go with algún. And you may ask yourself, why is it algún and not alguno? And that's a really good question. You know, with uno, right? So we say, for example, if we say un restaurante, but if we're not using the noun restaurante, we can keep the O on the uno. And the same thing works with alguno, right? So if we were to erase this sentence, restaurante de comida tradicional peruano, this could be answered as this question could be alguno, right? But because we do have the word restaurante, we have to put algún. It's the same reason we use un instead of uno. Claro, so she's saying, yes, there are, or there is. So what's the opposite? Well, it's not an opposite. She's confirming, right? So we're going to say here, alguno. Hay alguno. En el patio de comida, right? So we can use alguno here because we don't have the noun here. If we had restaurante here, we would have to drop the O and add an accent, but we don't, right? So we can say hay alguno en el patio de comidas. Tu amiga. Qué bien. Y hay en la oficina de atención al cliente a toda hora. So what is she talking about? Is there blank in the office of customer service all the time? She's probably saying, is there somebody, right? So this is going to be alguien. Alguien, right? There's no plural for alguien. Just like in English, there's no plural for somebodies. They are somebodies. No, that doesn't really work. So alguien. Hay alguien en la oficina de atención al cliente a toda hora. Es por si tengo, just in case I have any question más, any other questions. So here we're going to put alguna, right? So pregunta, feminine, singular, just in case I have any other questions. Alguna pregunta más. And she responds, sí, señora, blank, I blank. Well, this is kind of hard because the book doesn't really give you enough information to do this. I'm sorry, sometimes the book kind of sucks. So, señora dice, siempre, there is always, sí, señora, yes, yes, señora, there is always somebody. So what is somebody? Alguien. Siempre hay alguien, right? Tu amiga, let's see if I can scroll down here. Y para estar segura, no cierren temprano. Blank los sábados, blank los domingos. What could this be? And to be sure, they don't close early Saturdays, Sundays. Okay. What would make sense here? Neither Saturday nor Sundays. So in English, we might be a little more slangy and say, you guys don't close early Saturdays or Sundays, right? In Spanish, you have to look for the no. The no is going to be indicative that you should be using ni, and not o. So ni los sábados, ni los domingos. Telefonista, no, blank, cerramos antes de las 10 de la noche. No, we don't close before 10 at night. Now that sentence would be fine by itself, but we have a blank there, so we got to do something with it. So what would make sense, right? Looking down our list of words on page 246, we could probably throw in nunca. We never close early. Nunca cerramos antes de las 10 de la noche. I know that was probably a little bit confusing. I really apologize. There's no really good way to teach indefinite words and phrases, which is why I don't test you on it. I'm hoping that you'll pick some of these up as you go, and if you continue studying Spanish, you pick them up more naturally. They're important to the language, but not an integral part of the language like the pretérito might be. Okay, let's go on to 8.27. Actually, 8.27 we cannot do unless we're in class together. So if we're in class, we'll do it. If not, we won't. In 8.27, basically, you're going to look at the pictures, try to remember as much as you can, and then you're going to write things like, oh, there is algún, there is alguna. You know what? You guys actually might be able to do this. So take a look at the pictures, stare at them for 1 minute, and then write down everything you remember in the informe policial. And we're not going to go over this. It's kind of a fun activity to do, just to test yourself, but we're not going to go over this together. So, volviendo a las líneas de Nazca, slide 9. Algunos dicen que fueron creados por los extraterrestres o para atraer a los extraterrestres. So did aliens have something to do with the Nazca lines? ¿Alguien aquí cree que esto es posible? Pues take a look at this. This is one of the Nazca lines on a hillside, and it's a man, but not really, well, I don't want to say a man, it's a person, but not really a person. It kind of looks like, you know, the stereotypical drawings we have of aliens with the big eyes and the big boots, and there's even, if you look up here, there's even a, oh, I can write directly on the screen. Awesome. There's even a sort of, you know, line leading off of him like an air hose. Crazy, right? Or is it? Maybe Netflix will put out a new show about the aliens of Nazca. Muy bien. Pues ustedes están listas. So in your workbook online, do 8:15 and 8:16. These are going to be maybe a little bit of a struggle, but they're important to do. And right now on your screen, I'm leaving some extra links for some other explanations of indefinite words and phrases. And in the comments below, you'll see some links if you want to practice a bit more. And that's it for today. Hasta luego.